Welcome to the You Start Here launch event, hosted by Songbird Sessions, and special thanks to the York Manor for having us. I'm your host, Bianco. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story so that you understand why You Start Here is so important to survivors of sexual abuse. Imagine for a second, instead of a skeleton, you are an assembly of memories. Replace your elbow with your 20th birthday, trade your femur for your junior prom, and your fibula for your mother tucking you into bed at night. Your skin is now the complex array of ripples that are cast from every monumental moment of your life. Now, imagine that right in your ripest stage, your skeleton of experience is marred by a physical trauma. Suddenly you find yourself with a stunted knee, missing a few ribs, and a few broken vertebrae. Your bones never quite grow the way they're supposed to. Their development is interrupted. Understanding the complex effects that sexual abuse has on people as they develop is so much easier to grasp when you replace emotional conditions for physical ones. You can wrap your head around a half-formed bone better than a propensity for addiction, can't you? You can understand a muscle that you keep re-injuring better than a susceptibility for trauma bonds, right? The invisible alterations that sexual abuse has on the mind, while difficult to spot, can sometimes be even harder to overcome than physical damage of an accident. But we're not here to compare traumas. We're here to talk about healing. I was 9 years old the first time a grown man sexually assaulted me, and 14 when I finally broke the cycle of abuse. By that time, I had lost so much that I felt I was irreparably damaged. I had been doomed to a life of wincing every time someone asked me how I lost my virginity. I wish I could say that was when my healing journey started, but like many other survivors, all that started after the abuse stopped was a pattern of destructive behavior: drugs, alcohol, dangerous situations, and too many partners to count. All of this allowed me to perpetuate a self-inflicted pattern of trauma for the next decade. Rock bottom finally came after a night of partying when a guy I'd been friends with for 10 years raped me in a hotel. 2 weeks later, I peed on a pregnancy test in the bathroom of a CVS, fully expecting it to be negative. In hindsight, I probably should have waited until I was home. I found myself pregnant. I found myself growing something I was absolutely terrified of in my body, like a fucked up version of Ridley Scott's Alien. I found myself looking forward to my abortion like it was Christmas morning. This is not an experience I would recommend. We all like to think that we'll respond to an attempted rape like a Tomb Raider knockoff. In the throes of an assault, we'll fight and kick and scream and battle our way out, but unfortunately, it doesn't play out like that most of the time. The thing about trauma is that it's a chameleon, and it shows up in ways we can't anticipate. And unfortunately for me, in this situation, it showed up as paralysis. I wish I could say there were no warning signs that he was dangerous. There were. I was just too fucked up to notice. The only thing I can say with absolute certainty is if it weren't for my child sexual trauma, I would have never put myself in that hotel room. And that, my friends, brings us to the most important reason why we are here tonight. Sexual abuse alters psychological development, but what does that mean? Well, in terms of my emotional skeleton, if I was supposed to look like a Monet painting, I looked a hell of a lot more like a Picasso. And here's what it taught me. Step one is to understand that my mind was not formed incorrectly, but differently. A Picasso painting, while certainly more chaotic than a Monet, is still a gorgeous work of art. It's been 1,051 days since the last time I was raped. In those 1,051 days, I have found a handful of things. Number one, I found my voice. After having been in a band for half a decade and never produced my own material, I decided to become my own producer, and I became a solo artist. I stopped diluting my art and making excuses for why someone else should bring it to fruition. So shout out to organizations like Songbird Sessions who empower women with the tools they need to accelerate their artistic abilities. Number two, I found that Amazon sells over 5,000 types of soap, and not a single one of them was going to help me clean the shame that had found a home in my skin. Only therapy could do that. Number three, I found the trust to have sex with people again, and thank God, because I've had a number of great orgasms as a result. Number four, I found a couple of extra pounds that never really left my body. Shout out to pregnancy, it's that's fault. Number five, I found that there is no room for shame in this process, that rage and despair show up unannounced, and that the most important thing for me to do is be open and communicative about the things I'm feeling with the people around me. And number 6, I found community. This is not something that I would have ever been able to fix on my own. With support groups, therapy, and consistent self-care, these mental scars become at worst liabilities and at best mental super abilities to better understand human emotion and complexities. This is the beauty of what You Start Here is doing. Our Picasso painting minds need the psychological support systems and tools like the ones Ariel is bringing into the world with You Start Here, or they end up in cycles of self-inflicted trauma. And just as all damn good works of art need museums, all strong survivors need community, which is why Songbird sessions and You Start Here are so important to learning how to make your life a celebration of growth instead of a cycle of defeat. So let today be a step towards hanging our stunning abstract painting selves on the walls of our own Getty Museum. We are terrifying, complex, and beautiful works of art. We have a full night of music, poetry, and guest speakers. And if at any point tonight you guys want to donate, which you should, there's a Venmo handle right on the screen somewhere. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to the incredible Veronica Bianchi, who is going to sing a couple songs. And also, we just want to shout out and say another thank you to the York Center for having us. Obviously, this space is absolutely incredible.
I've had enough of playing victim. It's kinda tough, but I'm ready for big changes. I've had enough of playing victim. It's kinda tough, but I'm ready for big changes. But I'm ready for big changes. But I'm ready to be free. Shake these clouds from around my soul. Freedom ain't for free. It's time the truth starts singing, learning to speak. Man, it feels so liberating. Freedom ain't for free. It's been a lifetime, at least for me, to figure out just what I'm feeling, figure out just what I'm feeling, figure out just how to be. Shake these clouds from around my soul. Shake these clouds from around my soul. had enough of playing victim. It's kinda tough, but I'm ready for big changes. Do much better when I'm singing my song. I do much better when we're getting along. My feet get wetter the deeper I go in. Don't bring a sweater, it's time to swim. So why do you make it harder than it needs to be to get you here with me? Yeah, yeah. I do much better when I'm singing my song. I do much better when we're getting along, long, long. My feet get wetter the deeper I go in. Don't bring a sweater, baby, it's time to swim. So I'm pushing a little harder than I need to be to get you here with me. Yeah, I'm pushing a little harder than I need to be to get you here with me. Yeah, I'm pushing a little harder than I need to be to get you here with me. No, I'm not in love with you, but I'll still play my heart as if you're going to pick up all the pieces past lovers left behind. I'm searching for a love I just can't find. When I say it's just my body, I really mean it's my mind. So don't love me blue. Don't love me blue. Don't love me blue. 'Cause I have no self-control. Into your arms I will fall, and the days may pass away, but thoughts of you will drive me insane. Love and madness, madness and love are the same. So hold me, boy, I can't tell which one I'm playing, 'cause my loves are on a map laid down by my past, and that's why I keep thinking I'm falling in love. 'Cause when I was a baby, I didn't get enough. So don't love me blue. Don't love me blue. Don't love me blue. 'Cause I have no self-control. In your arms I will fall, and the days may pass away, but thoughts of you will drive me insane. So please, just say no for me. 'Cause I tell you, I'm not gonna be the first one to speak. And the night is drawing near, when logic falls apart, and when I think it's just my body, I think I forgot that includes my heart. So don't love me blue. Don't love me blue. 'Cause I have no self-control. Into your arms I will fall, and the days may pass away, but thoughts of you will drive me insane. Darling, if I can't hear you, I'll drive myself to glory instead. Lately I say I love you. Only to the creatures living in my If you're going to the North Country Fair, where the winds hit heavy on the borderline, remember me to the one who lives there. For she once was a true love of mine. If you're going when snowflakes storm, when the rivers freeze and summer ends, please see she wears a coat so warm to keep her from the howling wind. Please see for me her hair's hanging long, that it rolls and flows all down her breast. Please see if her hair's staying long, and that's the way I remember her best. I'm wondering if she remembers me at all. Many times I've often prayed, in the brightness of my nights, in the darkness of my days. So if you're going to the North Country Fair, rivers freezing, summer ends, remember me to the one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine. She once was a true love of mine. She once was a true love of mine.
Am I allowed to clap? We can come have I'm your audience here. I'm gonna clap. So fun fact, guys, Veronica is probably the oldest friend that I have in Los Angeles. We went to school together over a decade ago. And so I've had the luxury of being a fan of Veronica Bianchi for over 10 years. And I have fallen in love with your music, but one song in particular that I want to call out, because I know that the people at Songbird sessions and Ariel and everybody is really in love with your song Victim. And we'd love to just hear a little bit more about the backstory of it, because I'm sure your fans also find an immense amount of strength in that song. So
yeah, thank you. So that song I wrote when I started the journey of my own healing, and something you touched on earlier, I really love the way you phrased it of, I'm paraphrasing, but something about putting yourself back into that traumatic situation. So we develop these patterns to no fault of our own, you know. Our bodies and our minds learn to cope with things in certain ways, and at some point they stop serving us at a certain age usually. And so that song's about the process of coming out of that and saying enough is enough, like no more of this, like standing up, whether it's to your own inner like codependence or just bad habits, or being in abusive relationships. The line is, I'm locked here inside this place and it's your face that I hate. It's like that feeling of being trapped. It's like, why am I still in this situation with this shitty person who abuses me and I can't get out? And it's stepping out the door and into the cold. It's going to be hard, dark, cold, but there's light at the end. So that's what that's about.
I think what's so beautiful about your story too is like, for both you and I, we realized that stuff doesn't happen overnight. Like sometimes it takes 10 years, and it takes way longer when you don't have support systems like this foundation or therapy resources and stuff. But I also heard that you have an album that might be finished. And
yeah, so it's a kind of a collection over the years. It's funny because a lot of the songs are quite old. There's some that are more recent, but it's sort of a culmination. It's my first album. I've never put an album out. So hopefully it'll be out in autumn, and it's a lot of journey, a lot of love songs and strength and heartbreak and rock and roll.
musically, tell us where you're at right now. Like what's inspiring you musically?
Oh man, well, recently I've actually been listening to a lot more like hip hop and R&B and stuff like that. So, which is nothing like the album that's coming out. But I mean, Tyler the Creator, Kendrick Lamar, all that shit.
I feel like that's so important to ask an artist too, because it's such a mirror reflection of like where you're at in your own like emotional development and like what phase you're in,
right,
and stuff. But well, we're really excited to hear the album.
Thank you.
And thank you for just gracing us with that beauty. That was gorgeous.
You're welcome, and thank you. Love you.
Okay, so now we're gonna take you over to the founder of You Start Here, Ariel Beesley. She has some doctors from the Trauma and Beyond Center of Glendale, California, and they're gonna talk to us about all the things that we need to know about this foundation and how we can heal ourselves. So throwing it over to Ariel.
Thank you so much, Bianco and Veronica. That was a stunning set. So as she mentioned, my name is Ariel Beesley. I'm a musician. I'm actually going to play here in a few minutes, but I'm also the founder of You Start Here. And I just wanted to take this time to thank you so much for tuning in. This is an extremely important launch, and we really appreciate you being here. So here I am with Dr. Joanne Barron and Dr. Lynn Friedman-Gell from the Trauma and Beyond Center. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
We're honored to be here.
Yeah, so basically, I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about some of the people that are watching this. You know, obviously this is an event for survivors of sexual assault, but with You Start Here, we really want to emphasize the fact that we're also here for allies. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about how would you recommend communicating with survivors, because I think there is so much to be learned about how to do so, because sometimes, you know, when you're an ally, you don't really know how to talk to them or talk to us, and it can often be even more triggering. So what's something you would give some advice about that?
Well, first of all, I think one of the most important things is that there be an open space, that the survivor knows that the ally is open and wanting to hear and be there to be supportive, and that it's a safe space to be able to share whatever they want to share, but not to be pressuring or pushy, but with a sensitivity that might need to require a person, an ally, to say, is this an okay question? Are you comfortable talking about this? Is this a good time for us to talk? And even like, how can I support you? Yeah. Is there something that you need from me?
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, because, I mean, oftentimes I feel that it's not even an ally's fault, but that sometimes just the subject of sexual trauma can be so overwhelming that they kind of freeze up. And in my own experience, that's made me freeze up, because then I feel like I'm making them uncomfortable. So,
yeah, I think it's good to ask permission. Is it okay to talk about this? And to make sure that it's okay not to talk about it too. Yeah. Because when a survivor doesn't want to or isn't ready to talk about it, they need to have the space to not talk about it, to not feel pressured to talk about it.
And if somebody isn't ready to explore their trauma, it can be
re-traumatizing.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
So
I think that word ask permission, and give an invitation. Like to say, like, I invite you if you'd like to talk about this, I'm here.
Yeah.
If now is a good time, if now is not a good time, anytime, just let me know.
Yeah.
I'm here, I'm available, I want to listen.
Or how can I support you?
Yeah, and also I want to listen too. Like, that's something that I feel that coming out about my own assault, a couple years ago, I would do this thing where every time I told a new person that I was raped, I would have the sense that I'd call them the next day and I would be profusely apologizing. I'm so sorry I put that on you. I'm so sorry that was probably really overbearing for you, and blah, blah, blah. And just to have somebody say, no, listen, I want to be here for you.
right.
I want to hear you out. I think would mean a lot to me.
And thank you for trusting.
Yeah.
Thank you for trusting me as an ally enough to talk to me about something that was so difficult. I think those are really important words too.
And also, I really liked what you said, like, is this a good time to talk? I think that something that's really helped me from my own friends is I've had people reach out and be like, listen, I'm here if you want to talk, and I'm also here if you want to be completely silent.
Yes.
If you want to sit in the middle of your room and
That's
cry
right.
and not
That's
say a
right.
word, but just know that I'm here for you, like, that has really gone a long way for me as well.
I think that is so important.
Yeah, the idea of talking or not talking.
Or not talking, or just being there. And that's why I say ask the person, how can I support you? Do you want me to just come over? Do you want to talk? Do you want to listen? Do you want to watch movies?
Do you want
to laugh?
ice cream?
Exactly.
Yes, I want a pint.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for that. I think that there's so much, the more we educate people, the more people will have the tools to be able to handle this kind of trauma and help survivors work through it. Because, again, the whole thing of why I'm starting You Start Here is there is a sense of community within survivors. And when I was trying to heal on my own, it was not working out so hot for me, So the idea of just having somebody there for you, whether it's a survivor or an ally, is so important.
Or a group even, a group of people, a group of survivors like you're putting together. I think that's so important to know that you're not alone, you're not the only one, that others have gone through the same experience and have thrived, not just survived, but thrived.
Thrive, I love that. Not just survived, but thrived. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt. And that actually, brings us to the next thing I wanted to talk to you about. When you mentioned group therapy, I think that there are so many resources out there that survivors don't know about. I myself, I didn't even go back to therapy after I was raped for 6 years because I just was so terrified. I didn't know where to start. Hence why you start here. But I didn't know where to begin. And so what can you tell us about what treatments are out there, both psychological and somatic treatments for survivors to take use of?
Do you want to start?
Yeah, and if it's okay, I just wanted to step back one more time to the allies.
Please.
I just want to also say that they don't need to feel pressure to fix something or someone.
Yeah.
It's not about trying to fix or repair or heal the person that you're an ally for. It's really about just being available in your presence, even if it's a silent presence.
That is such a good point.
To care and show that love and partnership.
That's
or
a really
community.
good thing for our allies to know, is that we're not, when we, at least speaking myself, when I've come to an ally for support, I don't want them to tell me what to do, actually. That's something that has in the past, been difficult if they offer advice to me. I'm like, especially if they haven't been through it themselves, I'm kind of like, thank you, but no thank you, So that's actually really important, that we're not asking you to fix the situation. We just need somebody to talk to, because I think a lot of survivors suffer in silence. I did for a very long time. So that's something really beautiful.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, no, that's really important.
So though, as far as treatment though, there's a lot of different kinds of treatment, and I think one of the most important things, and what we've really tried to do in our treatment center, is that there's kind of a phase to treatment. And so unless somebody feels, I think, safe and stable, like you may not want to talk about your trauma like right off the bat, like just jump in and there's EMDR therapy and it's like a reprocessing therapy, but people forget that there's a first stage, which is connection and stabilization and being able to feel safe or comfortable in the environment in which you're talking. So sometimes in group therapy, it may be more sort of skills of how does a person return to a place of calmness in their center. We become dysregulated with the ups and downs of life, for sure. But also when you have trauma and sexual assault, and there's so many different types of sexual assault, whether it's childhood, adolescence, adulthood, or everything. And so when you're looking for a group, it's making sure that group leader knows how to contain the group and keep it a safe space. And whether you're just doing a support group or a therapy group, there's a difference there.
What is the difference? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. So like a support group is often peer-led.
Right.
And
like what you start here is doing, peer support.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then a professional group or a therapist-led group would be the other type of group. I think what you said, Lynn, is very important, that the phase-based approach to trauma treatment is so important, and that's why certain therapies like somatic experiencing, for example, the person doesn't even have to always talk about the trauma at all. We're going to be working with what's going on in the body, because sometimes if the abuse was really, really early, the survivor may not have words, they may not have memories, they may not really have any concrete memories to talk about, but it doesn't matter. It's okay.
And I think that's also really beautiful that you brought up, where does this live in my body? Because I mean, in my personal experience, I really struggled with dissociation. I would oftentimes, not even dealing with my assault, but just in my life, I would dissociate and feel very out of touch and very ungrounded. And what my therapist started working with me on is like, okay, where do you feel that? And at first, like when I was really bad in my dissociation, like I didn't even have an answer. I was like, I'm all over the place. I don't know where I am. And slowly but surely, I started to really feel something that I could describe, like a swirling in the middle of my chest, and then we would focus on that. And it's what she always told me is it's about meshing the two, meshing your mind, meshing your body, because so much of surviving, like we kind of compartmentalize. And so meshing those two together is so important, and something that I'm actively working on still, because, it is always a journey. But it's really important to feel where your pain is.
It is really important to feel where your pain is, and conversely, some people come in and they're feeling numb. They don't feel anything. And so working with the body and getting back in touch with the body, feeling safe in your own body, feeling safe sexually again. But so I think that when someone's looking for therapy, if you're a trauma survivor, especially a sexual trauma survivor, that it's really important to find therapy or therapists or groups that really have a specialty in working with sexual trauma, in working with dissociation, in working with the body and the mind. We call that top down and bottom up, because we're working both ways. So I think it's good to be very specific and look for people that have a lot of experience.
Really looking for that integrated trauma treatment, so that I like to talk, so there's talk therapy, but that's very left brain, and our experiences is been bringing in the right brain, and both the relational right brain to right brain, but then the somatic, the body, and then the emotions, but really rather than compartmentalizing, seeing how to integrate the whole back together or together for the very first time. Because like Joanne was saying, there's pre-verbal trauma. And so really, and there's times, some people do want to and need to talk about specifics of their assaults, and other times we don't need to. Other times working with the blockage in the somatic and the emotions and everything that's been defended downward, the release of that, which can happen through somatic work and EMDR work and sensory motor work and mindfulness, you may not even need to talk at all about explicit experience.
Yeah, and the dissociation that you were talking about, I think, is so important because some people, there's all kinds of, there's a whole spectrum of how you can dissociate. And some dissociation is so much that the person may not even remember the event at all.
I'll be honest, I suffer from what's called dissociative amnesia.
That's right.
Which means that after like a childhood experience,
That's right.
very early on, I basically went, whoop, nope,
right.
I'm not gonna remember that at all, which in my work, I have began to remember it, and I'm actually grateful for that, to have my memories back and take control of that.
But it's as you know, it's slow work. It takes time because you have to start feeling safe. And you have to feel safe enough to trust your memories to let them, even, not that you consciously let them. But the other thing is, you know, I see with young girls a lot that they come in and they don't even know that they have been sexually abused or assaulted, or they blame themselves. You know, they say, "Oh well, that was my
I went to his room.
ex-boyfriend, and we used to be together." Or, "Oh, it was my fault. I drank too much." Right. And so it's really, really important to have people that know about sexual trauma, because it's never okay to be sexually abused. No matter how much
it's never
you
your
drank.
fault, no matter what.
That's right.
And
That's right.
you know, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for taking the time to be here with us and for the launch of this organization. There's obviously so much important work to be done. So thank you guys for, you know, having your center, Trauma and Beyond. It's so beautiful, and I'm really grateful that you guys were a part of this.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. It's amazing the work you're doing, and
Thank you.
we look forward to
Thank
seeing
you
you
so
grow
much.
And supporting.
Thank you.
support you.
And the last thing I kind of wanted to say was, although I am very proud of the fact that this was completely produced by women, you know, there are male sexual assault survivors. And although here you see women, I want to very much say that You Start Here is for everybody. We are here for you too, and we will support you. So I just wanted to touch on that. And with that, I think I'm going to go on stage.
now you say you want her. You lost your chance. Gone. She's gone, moved on. Love her 'cause she's wild, kind of mad, so weak for a smile. The best you've had. Gone. She's gone, moved on. Could have had it all, but you were scared. You didn't have to think so much about it. You could have had it all. You were scared to fall. You didn't have to think so much about it. Go caught in a corner, it's in the past now. You say you want to, you lost your chance. Gone. It's gone, moved on. Love her 'cause she's wild and kind of mad, so weak for a smile. The best you've had. Gone. She's gone, moved on. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. Moved on. Monday, I can't recall. Tuesday, I remember feeling small. Wednesday came and went, and Thursday was alright. You know it's kind of strange. I feel good tonight. Sometimes I decide to stay in bed. Most days I don't feel like much instead. I thought you were a flower, but it turns out you're a thorn. And though I wasn't right, I feel good tonight. But you taste like honey. Yeah, you taste like honey. Oh, and I miss honey. He licks it up. Used to miss you madly when the sun was sunny. Now I've tasted honey, and he lifts me up. Monday went by so fast. Tuesday didn't know if I would last. Wednesday was the same, and Thursday was just fine. You know it's kind of strange. Is that you taste like honey? Yeah, you taste like honey. Oh, and I miss honey. He licks it up. Used to miss you madly when the sun was sunny. Now I've tasted honey, and he lifts me up. Tastes like honey. He tastes like honey, and I miss honey. Used to miss you madly when the sun was sunny. I don't miss you badly. Just lick it up. So I just want to say it's pretty weird not playing with an audience, but I hope all of you guys at home are enjoying quarantine, and thank you for tuning in. You were standing there in the corner, baby. We could go for a walk, maybe sometime on your rooftop, on your rooftop. Grab your guitar, you could sing for me. Sun goes down, the streets get mean, so take me to your rooftop, to your rooftop. You make me scared, don't let me fall. It's a long way down. Chase me around, I'll make it easy for you. Don't let me down, I'll make it easy for you. Chase me around, it's always this easy for you. Don't let me down, don't let me down. Took a drag of your cigarettes and tell me, baby, are you glad we've met now? Kiss me on your rooftop, on your rooftop. You make me scared, don't let me fall. It's a long way down. Chase me around, I'll make it easy for you. Don't let me down, I'll make it easy for you. Chase me around, it's always this easy for you. Don't let me down, don't let me down. Chase me around, I'll make it easy for you. Don't let me down, I'll make it easy for you. Chase me around, it's always this easy for you. Don't let me down, don't let me down. I'll let you take over this time, as long as you don't fall behind. Just promise me you won't let go. Chase me around, I'll make it easy for you. Don't let me down, I'll make it easy for you. Chase me around, it's always this easy for you. Don't let me down, don't let me down. Chase me around, I'll make it easy for you. Don't let me down, I'll make it easy for you. Chase me around, it's always this easy for you. Don't let me down, don't let me down.
All right.
Your hands brush past mine in electric light. You're dancing like you're mine. Can't keep this inside. Don't pretend you're blind. It's time to cross the line. I know you want to hide, but I won't let that slide. Don't protect your pride. Don't leave me without saying something. Don't make this out to be nothing. I miss you when you're not here, and I don't know if I have the right to wish that you would care. Just take me where home is tonight and love me better, better. this game. Don't leave me without saying something. Don't make this out to be nothing. I miss you when you're not here, and I don't know if I have the right to wish that you would care. Just take me where home is tonight and love me better, better, better. Love me better, better, better. I don't know if I have the right. Just take me where home is tonight. The sun is coming up tonight. I see the look in your eyes. I don't want to waste my time. Let's not take this for granted. You know where I stand, so just do what you want. It's your last chance before I leave. Miss you when you're not here, and I don't know if I have the right to wish that you would care. Just take me where home is tonight and love me better, better, better. Love me better, better, better. I don't know if I have the right. Just take me where home is tonight. Thank you guys so much. Hope you're enjoying from your living rooms. I fall in love with you. could take you home tonight. Oh, you dance so sweetly. I fell in love with you last night. Wish I could take you home tonight. Oh, you dance so sweetly. Everything reminds me of you, but I think my vision is skewed. I never seem to walk away, even when you walk away and say we're through. I always end up in your bed. You always end up in my head. I never seem to walk away, even though you walk away, you always do. I never seem to walk away, even though you walk away, you always do. But we'll always have a dancing, yeah, we'll always like the same shit. We'll always enjoy dancing, but I don't know if we're gonna make it this time. Loving you was always just my style. Now I see your face and I want to cry. Radio comes on and I want to be singing with you. Loving you was never something new. Is it getting old? You make me feel like a fool. Everyone tells me you're a tool. I think it's time to walk away. I've never really walked away and said we're through. But we'll always have a dancing, yeah, we'll always like the same shit. You'll just keep on dancing, but I'm pretty fucking over it. Loving you was always just my style. Now I see your face and I want to cry. Radio comes on and I want to be singing with you. Loving you was never something new. But it's getting old. It's gone old. So take her to Palm Springs, where you knew I loved you most. That old Sinatra bar, that's where you held me close. I always leave the part out where you left me all alone. To go back to the bar, that'll never happen again, right? Loving you was always just my style. Now I see your face and I want to cry. Radio comes on and I want to scream by myself. Loving you was never something new. But it's fucking old! All right, we have one more for you. The song is Unreleased
thought I'd premiere it here at this very special event. I just want to take a second to thank every single person who's been a part of this. It has been beyond inspiring, and thank you so much for tuning in. This next song is called So Baby.
Your stupid fucking smile that gets me every time. You know all the lies that make my body shake. Remember how I taste. I remember all your lies. You know what you're doing to me. You know what you're doing to me. You know what you're doing, and I see you clearly. Goddamn coward. You're such a baby. You think you're baby. Always kidding yourself. Never fooling nobody else. Oh, you think I'm crazy, but I'm so baby, so good at loving myself. Never did need nobody else. Ow! I hate that look you give when I know that you want it. I know that you want me. That look in your green eye, it makes me wanna scream. I wanna watch you cry. 'Cause you know what you're doing to me. You know what you're doing to me. You know what you're doing, and I see you clearly. Goddamn coward. You're such a baby. You think you're baby. Always kidding yourself. Never fooling nobody else. Oh, you think I'm crazy, but I'm so baby, so good at loving myself. Never did need nobody else. Ow! La da 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 da. Ha! You're such a baby. You think you're baby. Always kidding yourself. Never fooling nobody else. Oh, you think I'm crazy, but I'm so baby, so good at loving myself. Never did need nobody else. Ow! You're such a baby. You think you're baby. Always kidding yourself. Never fooling nobody else. Oh, you think I'm crazy, but I'm so baby, so good at loving myself. Never did need nobody else. Ow!
Thank you.
Woo! Can we clap? Woo! Guys,
I'm really sweaty.
also, I don't know if we're supposed to hug, but you guys, by the way, is this your drum set?
Yeah.
All right, guys, please, everybody who's tuning in, please give a really, really deep round of applause for Ariel Beesley, the founder of You Start Here. Okay, we got like a really small group of people here, but I'm sure there's way more of you guys at home. That was amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
I just want to ask you a couple questions about stuff. So what is the inspiration behind You Start Here?
All right, so You Start Here has talked a little bit about the fact that I am a survivor of sexual assault, and I have been wanting to start an organization for survivors basically my whole life. I think that in my mind, I always put this like point that, okay, when I get to this certain amount of success, that's when I'll start it, you know, that's when I'll finally do the damn thing. And I think that through quarantine, you know, obviously there's been so many changes in the world and so much isolation, and I just realized, fuck this, I don't need to wait, like let's just do it now. And you know, especially like there was, you know, almost like a second wave of the Me Too movement coming out of the LA music scene, and to be a woman in music and see that was so deeply enraging.
Especially a woman in rock and roll.
Yeah, especially, yeah, as a front woman. And, you know, seeing that along with my own assaults, plural, I just realized that the time was here, and I really wanted to draw this community together, because I think that, you know, even in producing this show, I met you, I met, you know, the women of Songbird sessions, like so many women that I have been so deeply inspired by, and it's really shown me that there is that community, that I didn't make it up in my head, that shit is real, and the time is now. There's never gonna be the perfect time to heal, because my journey to healing started when I survived. So the time is fucking now, and that's why I decided to do it.
And just to tie back to your music, so your music has so much fucking energy. I love it.
Thank you.
How do you think, I mean, we've had conversations about like how a lot of your healing journey has involved a lot of different emotions, including rage and pain, and then also like elation and stuff. So I'm just wondering how you find those emotions as like inspiration for your music.
Yeah, well, basically like all of my music is an open diary. Like every single song I write is something that I'm speaking about personally. But you know, the most beautiful thing about music is that here I am talking about a fucked up ex-boyfriend, but somebody in another country could hear that and say like, oh, I've felt that too, you know? And I think that that's the most important thing about music, is that it really is this universal language for all of us, because when it comes down to it, a lot of us are all feeling the same emotions. We're all going through very similar things, even in different circumstances. So to be able to write music that is relatable is like one of my biggest goals. And also it's just what comes out. Like I literally don't know how to write any other way than just like, I'm feeling a lot of shit and I don't want to feel it anymore, and therefore I have to work it out in this way, you know, plus going to therapy, stay on therapy. But yeah, I think the inspiration for my music is just being able to allow myself to feel those things. I think something I talked about in the panel was, for so long I felt very silenced, and music was the only way that I really, you know, when I'm on stage, that is when I am my most self. Like that is when I'm out there for the world and I don't know how to hide. I can't hide it even if I tried. But like the goal of my music is just to give not only other people an outlet to hear my songs and relate, but also myself, to give myself that outlet and be like, yeah, this is what I felt, this is what I'm feeling, and I'm just gonna be bold about it. And you know, you talk about rage. I think that in my own assault, like I did this thing where I would not let myself be angry. I turned everything into sadness, like everything. I always just got depressed and sad about it. And something I've been really working on this year in particular is getting angry and harnessing that rage, because rage is power. And so it's come out definitely in my music. I'm writing a lot more angry songs, and goddamn, it feels good. But yeah, I think just, you know, being able to harness those emotions, there's so much to be said about turning your pain into art. And that's something that we really focus on at You Start Here, is not only giving therapeutic resources, like literal therapists to come in and talk to us, but also just, you know, different art practices. You know, is dance a way to feel more grounded in your body after feeling dissociated? Is, you know, painting and splattering paint on the canvas, is that something that's going to make you feel better? You know, for me, it's music. So I think that through You Start Here, if I can introduce anybody to any of those outlets, I've done something right, and I hope that's where we go.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
What can we expect from You Start Here and you for the next year?
Good question. So for You Start Here, because we're in the middle of quarantine, what we're going to start doing is having monthly Zoom experts to come in. So every month there's going to be a new curated expert who specializes in some facet of this kind of healing for this kind of trauma. So for example, our first event, which is actually September 26th, you will get news about it soon if you sign up for our emailing list. But our first event is with this organization called She Is. And what they're all about is teaching, healing their trauma through the medium of dance. So they teach dance to sexual assault survivors, all about like feeling grounded and doing that. But basically every month we're gonna have a new expert. We also have people coming in to teach breathwork classes, and then just straight up artists that are coming in being like, yo, this is what I do for help, like maybe it'll help you. So every month we're gonna be doing that. We also will have peer support groups over Zoom, which is just all about our community, because for my own healing, I've really found that is the thing that has helped me the most, is just finding other survivors and really, they always tell us you're not alone.
Yeah.
But you don't feel that way until you talk to other survivors. And I think that the beautiful thing when you do communicate with survivors is you realize, like, wow, not only did we all survive, like we're all really badass and like probably could be really good friends, and like, yeah, let's talk about our trauma, but let's also like talk about that guy you're dating or that girl you're dating, or like what's going on in your life, and just about being there for each other. And so that's what you can expect, and I'm really excited about it. And thank you so much again for tuning into this event. This is our launch, and I could not be more proud.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ariel Beesley. It's like, thank you so much. Okay, so guys, to close out the event, we have poetry being read by Elise Cezak, who is not only a poet, but an incredible writer, an incredible activist, and a super powerful voice for all social change. So I am so pleased to introduce you to Elise Cezak.
Before I start, this piece is one that means a lot to me. I wrote it 4 years ago, and I wrote it when I was doing a lot of work around specifically the Brock Turner case with Fuck Rape Culture, a community that we created to really start making changes with the way that rape survivors are treated. The piece is called We Are Emily because of Emily Doe. Emily Doe was the, at the time, anonymous victim of Brock Turner. Her story was just like mine. I identified so much with her because she didn't remember so much of it. And I can't imagine what it must have been like to be so public, to be on a stand, talking about her story, and to have been denied true justice the way that she was. Her name is Chanel Miller. She's outed herself and she's used her voice. When I wrote this, I performed it once and I hid it. I put it in an envelope, my note cards. I put it in an envelope and I stashed it in a suitcase in the back of my closet, and I never wanted to see it again. Because the things that I spoke about are things that are so hard for me to handle. It's taken 4 years, but I finally gotten to a place where I can talk about it. It's been, 14 years since it happened to me the first time. Healing is not linear. It is squirrely, it is uncomfortable, it is painful, and sometimes, maybe the way that I feel today, I may not feel this way tomorrow. So if you're a survivor, every way that you feel is okay. But again, before I begin, I want to address the men. The most powerful changes, yes, it comes from women and from victims of all kinds, standing up and telling their own stories and owning their truth. But a bigger part of it is when those who have done it start owning theirs. Admit when you're wrong. It is okay. There can be a safe space for you too. But until the people that have caused harm are willing to admit that they have, we're in an echo chamber and we feel invalid. Please say something about you. This is We Are Emily. I've left many pages blank, trying to articulate how it feels to be violated in sleep, then awake, then so inebriated I couldn't face him enough to pronounce the word no, let alone yes. Left alone to guess my role in this pit of greatest darkness, of greatest shame, grateful to take blame so as one day I may feel clean again, to feel like me again, to wash my skin of dirty foreign fingers that never knocked before entering in, unwelcome to this mess that has become my body. What temple this body should be, where there can never be enough soap or bleach to wash me of this shame and loss of dignity, or stolen. No, stolen, when maybe my locks were weak, when trust is no longer a key, but a shattered doorframe kicked in by dirty feet insisting intrusion was craved by me. And you taught me my shame, that my weakness of kindness, forgiveness, and submission signaled your propriety over me, that I was to blame, that my unwillingness baited and teased, that my cries of no and bloodshed somehow meant yes, please, and I hated being called a tease. Awakening in blood with no panties. You touting your mounting of me as manly as boys will be, boys will be. And even years later, I share my stories only to meet. Why didn't you go to the police? How could I? When I couldn't trust Elyse, fearing somehow in my black holes of the darkest of memories, you sought my permission and I gave of it freely. When my knees and my ankles were weak, and my eyelids grew heavy, I strung the words together and begged you to fuck me. Maybe so. Maybe. But imagine me, in my bruises, scars, blood, and nudity, on a stand, protesting fluids they found in me, answering questions of my own promiscuity as if the answers would come. As he came. On my skin, and it would stick to the hairs on my belly and never wash clean. And for his sins, I am guilty. My sweet girls, it is not as if we are staring into the sun, blaming our blindness on lack of warning. We shut our eyes. They pry them open while we sleep. My sweet girls, we wear tattered golden gowns in unity, and all hope is not lost among us as we wrap our arms around shoulders to carry the most dangerous of fragilities. Not ours, but of the men we wish we could forgive, but who look us in the eyes again and blindly deny us our validity. When a woman's words of violation of her own autonomy are up for juries of men to receive, there is no question they'll side with their own needs. For if we were abused, and truthfully, and if our stories are to be believed, they might all realize they too might be guilty. Nice guys who pay us in traveling eyes disguised as maturity, spouting, surely him, but never me. Well, I ask of you, did you ask her? Did she say, yes, please? Did she kiss you back? Did she thank you? Was she pleased? Or the girl who cried or fell asleep, Did you walk away and say, next time, darling, when we've both had less to drink? For every one of us who fears this only, there is another who will never wash herself clean of the stigma, the plague, the disease, of what you'd prefer she'd never write or speak. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elise Cezak. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. All right. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. This concludes the You Start Here launch event.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. Elyse, that was absolutely breathtaking, and I think you put the words in so many survivors' mouths. So thank you for your beautiful stories.
And just like today's event has been a roller coaster of emotions, sometimes you've probably cried and other times you've laughed and you felt elation, joy, heartbreak. Yeah. That is completely normal.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Completely healthy. Everything that you're feeling right now is completely fine, and we just want you to know that you're not alone.
Yeah, if there's anything that this event has hopefully showed you, is that there is a community, there is a place, whether you're an ally, a survivor, somebody that has been affected by this. We are here for you. There are resources to help you. And, you know, going off of feeling all these emotions, what we've shown here is that you can turn your pain into art. We've also shown that you can cry, you can laugh. And if you felt those things tonight, I want you to feel them. I do not want you to push them down, because silence, we're done with that shit. We're here. I want you to feel your feelings and know that you can start to heal. You can begin with us, your community. We have your back.
And every single one of them is an act of healing, so welcome home.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Good night.
I'm so proud of you. Congratulations and thank you.